There's a number your lender knows that you probably don't. It's the year, the exact year, when your monthly payment finally starts building more equity than it sends to the bank. For a lot of people at today's rates, that number is year 19. Most people sell by year 8. I'm a former bank analyst. I've sat on the side of the table you don't see. And today, I'm breaking down the actual math of an American home purchase. Not houses are expensive, everyone knows that, but where the money goes, who designed it that way, and what you can do about it before you sign. This is the stuff I wish someone had shown me before I was 26, sitting across from a loan officer who knew exactly what he wasn't telling me. Run a normal mortgage and watch what happens to your payment. $300,000, 6.5%, 30 years. Your principal and interest payment is about $1,896 a month. Sounds like you're paying off a house. First payment, about $1,625 of that is interest. About $271 is principal. That's not home ownership. That's rent with paperwork. Early on, 80 to 90% of your payment can be interest, so your equity moves like it's stuck in traffic. Same story on bigger loans. $400,000 at about 6.1%. Payment around $2,424. First month, roughly $2,033 is interest. That's about 84%. And no, the bank doesn't earn evenly over time. Amortization front-loads interest cash flow right when you're most likely to move or refinance. Zoom out. $400,000 at 6% over 30 years. Total interest is $463,353. You pay more than double what you borrowed. Want the decoder ring? Interest is your current balance times your rate, divided by 12. Principal is whatever's left. Payment minus interest. That's the whole trick. At 6% and up, there's a number nobody says out loud. It takes about 18 to 19 years, roughly 230 payments, before the amount of principal you pay each month finally beats the interest. That's not eventually. That's your kid going from kindergarten to graduation. And a lot of people are still doing 20/20 math in their heads. When rates were around 3%, that tipping point was closer to 7 years. Different universe. It matters because most people don't live in the same house for 30 years. Typical tenure is about 8 to 12. Refi and move cycles are often 7 to 10. So you exit while the loan is still in its hungry phase. About 25% of your total interest gets paid in the first 5 years. About 35% in the first 7. Quick case, $400,000 home, 6.1%, 10% down. After 5 years, you've paid $145,439, and your balance is only down $27,326. Then you sell and hand over the exit fee, around 6% in selling costs, usually more once you add repairs and concessions. My buddy from college did this in 2019, thought he made money. We did the math over beers. He went quiet. Just take the 30-year and figure it out later isn't neutral. If you leave before the good part of the schedule, it's an expensive default. People are told, just buy a house, pay the mortgage, you'll get rich. The part they leave out is that for a lot of owners, the wealth didn't come from paying the loan down. It came from the house getting more expensive behind them. In 1985, a typical home was about 3.5 times a typical income. In 2025, it's closer to 5 times. In the 2006 bubble, it went over 7 times. And this latest run-up wasn't subtle. From 2019 to 2024, home prices jumped 48%. Incomes went up 22%. Why? Supply is politically constrained. In plenty of cities, around 75% of residential land is zoned single-family only. We're short something like 4 to 7 million units. You don't fix that with a motivational quote. And the middle-class tax break everybody cites? The mortgage interest deduction helps about 8% of households, and roughly 78% of the benefit goes to people making over 200 grand. That's not a boost, it's price support. Building kills values is a useful myth. A lot of research finds net zero or even positive effects. Minneapolis changed the rules, added nearly 21,000 units from 2017 to 2022, and rents rose about 1%. My dad bought in Columbus in 1987 on a machinist's salary, about 3 times his income. Fixed rate. Done. That math doesn't exist because the rules changed. High prices aren't nature. They're policy choices that reward the people already inside. Wall Street bought all the houses is a clean story. It's also usually the wrong one. First, quick name check. BlackRock and Blackstone are not the same thing. BlackRock manages index funds. Blackstone ran the post-2008 foreclosure play, and a lot of that inventory ended up as Invitation Homes. Different companies, different business. Nationally, the big institutions, the ones with 100-plus homes, own roughly 1 to 3% of single-family homes. And in most research, institutional buyers are under 2% of total home purchases. So if you're picturing one hedge fund buying your whole town, that's not what the data says. But the twist is, it's real in specific metros. Atlanta's about 25% of the single-family rental market. Charlotte around 18. Phoenix about 14. 6 markets, Atlanta, Phoenix, Dallas, Charlotte, Houston, Tampa, hold about 45% of mega investor holdings. I live in Phoenix. I see the Invitation Homes signs on my street. It's real here. It's just not the whole country. And the investor people actually lose to most often? Small ones. About 85% of investor-owned homes are held by mom-and-pop owners with under 5 properties. So if it's not the boogeyman hedge fund, who gets paid when you stay confused? Banks, with front-loaded interest in servicing. Local governments, where property taxes are about 70% of local tax revenue. Existing owners, because home equity is 43 to 45% of the median homeowner's net worth. And the transaction layer, the confusion tax, 2 to 6% closing costs on the way in, and about 6% or more to sell. Fight the right enemy. Local supply rules plus transaction economics. And I'm curious, if you're in one of those 6 metros or somewhere investors are eating up inventory, drop your city in the comments. I read them. It tells me where to dig next. Here's the part nobody puts on the glossy brochure. The boring moves beat the clever ones. Rule number 1. Small, consistent, extra principal. On a $300,000 loan at 6.5%, adding just $100 a month can save you $60,000 plus in interest and cut about 4 years off the mortgage. Not a hack, just math. Bi-weekly payments are the same idea without the hype. Half every 2 weeks isn't magic. It's 13 full payments a year. On a $200,000 loan at 5%, that saves about $35,534 over the life of the loan and usually turns a 30-year into roughly 26. And 15 versus 30 isn't morality, it's a trade. On $300,000, a 30-year at 6.74% versus a 15-year at 6.14% saves around $216,000 in total interest, but your monthly is $600 plus higher. The payoff is the schedule flips fast. Principal beats interest around year 3 or 4, not year 18 or 19. Worried about prepayment penalties? In 2024, only 0.248% of mortgages had one, and they're not allowed on FHA, VA, USDA, or conventional loans. So here's the framework. If you might be out in under 10 years, obsess over low fees, skip lender junk, and get principal moving early. If cash flow's tight, automate a small extra amount you can actually keep doing. You can't personally fix zoning, but you can stop your loan from harvesting you in the first 7 years. The haunting number isn't just total interest. It's what that money could have been doing for you while it was doing absolutely nothing for you. On a pretty normal mortgage, the first few years can send 6 figures to interest while your equity barely moves. That's not just expensive, it closes doors. It changes what you can say yes to. And zoom out for a second. Average homeowner net worth is about $430,000. Average renter net worth is about $10,000. That's a 43 times gap, widest ever recorded. So yeah, housing matters, but the way you finance it matters too. Here's the quiet killer, 1%. On a $200,000 loan, the difference between 4.33% and 5.33% is $43,585 more in total interest. Same house, same borrower, just a slightly worse rate. Slow early equity means less mobility, worse refi posture, and if you have to sell in a down year, You're the one holding the bag. Nobody walked me through this at 26, sitting across from a loan officer who knew exactly what he wasn't telling me. That's why this channel exists. Learn to read the amortization schedule and plan around your likely exit date. Do that, and the system gets a lot less expensive, even if the market stays broken. If this is the stuff you wish someone had explained before you signed, subscribe. No courses, no affiliate kickbacks, just the math they don't show you at closing. And hit like if it helped, because it pushes this to people who are about to learn this the expensive way.